Welcome back and good morning. Ready to start the forward fuselage. I'll be starting on the right hand side of the forward fuselage. The drawings indicate or show the right hand one on the drawings. It's a lot easier, I guess, to do what you know, at least follow it, mirror it to what you're building in lieu of trying to start on the left hand side and confusing the crap out of yourself. So starting on the right, all my components just to the left of me here have all been pulled out of the inventory boxes and the like. So we'll flip the camera around and we'll have a quick look. Okay, so right hand side fuselage is out. By the looks of things, I just have to cut that longeron out of a stock length. Everything else looks like it's just basically thrown together with some clecos. So the good news is that I don't have to fabricate this piece of material here, which is just here. That's the one that Gavin had to have sent off and fabricated. I think there's some little, there they go. I'll just put that there like that. He had all these parts of it had to get milled up. They're all done for us now in this kit. So anyone that's buying a kit now will have all these done for you. Those behind us are having to still fabricate, so it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to make a bit of a start. I'm waffling, and hopefully within the next few odd days I will have some part of the build that we can all look at and have a look. Anyway, talk with you all soon. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. Day 2 of the Ford fuselage construction. I spent probably around about 4 odd hours build time yesterday, and probably around about 2 or 3 hours or thereabouts, let's call it 2, and just doing some research on orientation and the like, namely around the firewall, which I'll go through in a second with you. So whip the old camera around and we'll have been achieved. Okay, so up there is the Ford fuselage, right hand side. No issues with it generally. Everything sort of went together. This square section didn't have pilot holes through on the other underside over here for the gussets to go through, so I had to drill, work out, sort of transpose. I sort of had to transpose where these gussets would fall onto this, drill the holes through, and hopefully I was hoping that I was going to be fairly close, which I was. Thence relying on the 1/8 size to take up any slack if it's a little bit sort of crooked. They're all pretty good. There's only 3 of those you've got to do. And everything here is okay. I've got to obviously pull all these apart and do some countersunk holes through here. I've got to drill those holes back through there. Done all these engine mount brackets and cross tie brackets. So what I've left out is the angle and the hinge piece that goes from here to here. Now, the reason I've done that is because this is a constant, those 2 holes here, and this is a constant here, which then align with the 2 holes in here and the 3 holes in here, which automatically will give me the left and right or up and down position of the angle bracket and subsequent hinge when that goes on there, if that sort of makes sense. I was getting my head around this top side of the firewall. I couldn't quite work out why the holes weren't lining up. Then I realized that this then goes to the underside of that bend line. That's the bend line through there. This bend line through here will be for the purpose of fixing into this cross tie here, which gives you the security in that one. The underside of the bend line, which is the 60-degree one, will come to here, and then the fuselage sheet will then, underside of the fuselage sheet will then fit onto that, which will then give you all of the pilot holes for the longerons, and this, and also where it joins at the where it joins at the aft fuselage. So that whole square section, did you see my hand there? No, you didn't. So that whole square section of underside of sheet has all the pilot holes in it. There he is over there. I'll just go and have a look at him. So this all has its pilot holes in it, both aft and, sorry, that's forward section, and this is the aft section here. There's a couple of other extra holes to go in there, which AM bolts and the like. So, oh, just squeezing my way around there. So that's, I'm not going to bend this up at the moment. I'm going to go ahead now and make the left-hand side fuselage skin. And I'll leave all the upsides until last. I've got plenty of Clecos, and then we can have a little bit of a look at it and proceed with the upsizing and riveting off of any surfaces that can be done. Also too, just make mention to the seatbelt bracket through here. Again, you know, people need to take into consideration what seatbelts they're using and the like. So I know that I mentioned in a previous video that I've got some seatbelts to unveil. I will do that. Sort of had a little bit of look to. Here's the AN bolt that goes through it. So this head must go through the underside of on the face side of the fuselage skin. So I'm kind of, obviously I was sort of thinking, my lord, I've got a bloody bolt stuck on the outside of that aeroplane. But then obviously I realised that that's the section of the wing that hides it. So I've just brought those two out just to have a little bit of a look at them and think that far ahead. So waffling again, so I will carry on and build the left hand side fuselage skin. Talk with you soon. Yeah, good morning. Yesterday saw me complete the left hand fuselage side. I've just dry fitted them together using the two cross ties, the upper and lower cross tie at the firewall. So we'll flip the camera around and have a bit of a look. So just temporarily held this together here with some clamps on the bottom, and these two at the top had pilot holes in them. So just going back to what I was talking about yesterday about the hinge, I've just got that sitting dry in spot at the moment, and if I go around to the firewall, you will see that this is all set out ready to go. I can now bring that firewall over here after I bend the upper at 30 and the lower at 60. I believe there's a little bit of trimming to do around here, but hopefully that will fit in nicely, and I can then drill these hinges in spot. I've got yet to make that hinge up. I've already made this side up, and then I won't commit to drilling these two pilot holes in the bottom of these two yet, unless I measure across. I guess I could probably do that. It should be the same both ways. I was going to leave that until I positioned the underside skin. It's probably not going to hurt at the moment. I could or I couldn't do it. Actually, the firewall should take up most of the slack anyway. Anyway, let's just go on with it and see how today ends up. Talk to you all soon. Welcome back and good morning. I'm just going to bend, or I've actually started bending the firewall, 60-degree upturn on the bottom of the firewall, and I'm about to do the 30-degree upturn on the top of the firewall. I'm just going to flip the camera around and quickly talk about it, because it's a really helpful tool rather than trying to use little bending pliers and that sort of stuff. If you can bend it in one hit, I'm sure some people probably try to do it that way, but my recommendation is to get one of these tools. It's this, I don't know how many more times we've got to bend. There's been two on the aft of the tail cone sheets. They were bent. I don't know if there's any more, but let's assume there isn't. It was well worth the 250, I think, Australian dollars to get it delivered. So let's just flip the camera and have a look. So to move this, I disassemble it, because it's got to be, I don't know, 50 plus kilos, maybe more, and to drop it, I reckon it'd break a toe or something like that. So look, anyway, here's the 60-degree bend. This is the firewall, the right hand side, so it goes up this way, it bends under the aeroplane, and the top side is going to be bent up 30 degrees. So it's just a simple means of just loosening this off. So this is loose, this goes through to this line, you push it through and lift the handles up. I know that there are smaller versions of these. This one's about 1 meter wide, I think. They go down to about 700, then they go down to about 300. I ummed and ahed about getting the 700. You know, for the few extra bucks, I ended up getting this one because I didn't know what size sheets were going to be bent. So I worked on the order of caution again. I originally had this located over here on this end when I laid the, I originally had it located here, and I laid the fuselage side sheet out that way, bent it up. Now, normally you would push the sheet through this way and bend up just the tab you're bending. I can't on this because this distance from here to here is just too much. It's too wide between these two little lugs on the back. I probably could have modified this still. I don't even use these bits. I probably could have cut them off. But that said, it's worked out all right. I just bent it probably 3 times. I didn't overbend it. I each time underbent it and then did that last little guess, and it worked out spot on the money. So I'll go ahead and do the 30-degree bend, and we'll come back in a minute and have a look what it looks like. Okay, I've bent the firewall successfully, dry fitted it in spot. Everything went together really well. I've made a small modification to the firewall, of which I will show you. It's nothing to write home about. I'm sure everyone's going to be in the same boat, and you'll understand why when I turn the camera around. Okay, so just having a quick look at the moment. There it is, fits in really well. The modification I'm talking about is I've just slightly bent those sheets just around there like that. You know, that's this component here's got a radius on it. I'd much rather have the depth in the sheet for the rivets or bolts, whatever they are, through these 3 here. I think they're rivets. I'd much rather the depth in that point of the sheet in lieu of it in cutting it off. And I've done the same thing here too. I don't really think it's necessary to, it's not gonna cause stress on this corner here. I'll probably, you know, maybe just file it off a little bit, whatever. But look, just to go back and talk about the hinges mainly, I've just positioned this hinge in spot here now. Because the distance between here and here, those two clecos there and the 3 clecos here on these 2 engine mount angles, because that was a known distance, then because the sheets had pilot holes in it and the angle behind that hinge had pilot holes in it, I was able to find the position, you know, north and south or up and down. I think I mentioned in a previous video. Therefore, the hinge can basically go in spot, push it back to where it's meant to go, come inside here, and then pilot all those holes down there. I'll just do sort of one top and bottom, then remove all the sheet for ease of drilling. I don't want to be bending over this aeroplane like that in that spot. But look, these are spot on. I'm really happy with that bend line through there, even if it wasn't quite at 30 degrees. You know, you know, the clecos and drilling will take up all that slack. Underneath here, it's gone together really well. I've just got that temporarily held in with a small clamp at the moment. I haven't positioned this yet. I won't be drilling anything in the underside of here until the underside of the sheet goes on, which at the same time all those long rods and everything done, because look, all the pilot holes are in the sheet anyway, so that'll give me that killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So I'm going to go up and make myself a lovely cup of coffee now, cut the other hinge, place it in spot, do 2 pilot holes. I keep bringing my hand too far back here, you can't see what I'm pointing at. So I'll do pilot holes from here and the top, both sides, remove all this, pilot hole all of this back off again, so that's the hinge and the angle back to the side of the fuselage angle. Then that's pretty much a boxed out section of fuselage all done. And depending on how many clecos I've got left, I'll start the the spar tunnel and see how I go with that. then it can be ready for disassembling and starting to rivet. There's a small, you'll see those holes up through there. There's a small square hollow section, I'm not sure, I think it's about 12 mil by 12 mil, maybe half inch, that goes up through there. It all gets braced off, so gives a bit of strength and rigidity to the firewall. But that's basically it. I will go and make a lovely cup of coffee and come back down here shortly and have a look. Good morning, welcome back. Okay, I've made, I had a bit of a thought the other night. I wasn't happy with the way the workshop was proceeding. You know, I had an aft fuselage sideways across my workbench, and I was working forward on the forward fuselage on another half of that workbench, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to reconfigure it. So I bit the bullet and I cut my workbench down by nearly 300 millimeters. I think Gavin made mention too that it is very hard to reach over the top of the fuselage as you're building it. Even at the height that I've now got it, it's still quite hard, but it's still accessible from underneath the way that I've done it now. So that's the main objective, to try to build, well, not try, I am building the aeroplane in one complete a unit now, only to get my head around everything that goes in there better than having to, you know, think about the two halves and how they join and that sort of stuff. Although there's not a lot of work in the aft section now, apart from push rods for the mixer box for the ruddervators and the like, and flap actuators, and also the installation of transponders and the radio units and the like, whatever. So look, I'm just going to flip the camera around and we'll start with the workbench. Okay, workbench has been cut down. I have plans over here. Now I can still have a reasonable amount of workbench sitting over that side to build anything that I need to. It seems to work all right. It's a little bit hard to bend over on the old back, so I've got myself a little chair over there. I sit down on here and read drawings. But here's the aircraft as it's set up now. So the way that I did it, ensuring it's all level and true, is I used this line along here as a springing line and set my laser level at that point. Just getting the adjustment with some packers and the like on a rear saw stool here, taking the weight of the front of the fuselage of the tail cone, front half of the the aft fuselage of the tail cone here, taking the weight, and then put a secondary sawhorse in here to just take up that, just to take the stress off this section here. I'm a big fan of trying to dry assemble as much as you physically can before you have to start riveting, and that's the way I've always approached the aft, and I'm sort of not going through section by section by section. You know, I know that others have sort of riveted a lot of the fuselage sides off and then they go into the next piece. I'm just dry fitting as much as I can now. Look, I'm just going to quickly go through here. This angle down here is a generic part for both tricycle and tail draggers. This model being a tail dragger that I'm doing. So there's a whole bunch of extra rivets to go and, pilot holes to go through here which aren't in. These floor formers haven't got pilot holes in this yet, so I've just assembled the tunnel to have a look at it, to see what it physically looks like, and I will start to pull the Z off here so I can finish off all of this rivets in here. I will do this on the workbench. I'll pull all this apart again, but I just wanted to see how all the components look, to get my head around it. Basically, I just couldn't resist, had to throw the instrument panel in situ to give it a little bit of a look. Don't know whether I'll make it removable as Gavin has done yet or not. I don't know. That I think because I've only got sort of two IFS displays, it's, you know, these are only just sort of fixed in with a couple of screws, so they come out fairly, as long as I make enough wiring loom in there, I think that should be okay rather than having to make it removable. Obviously the fuel tank to go in here, I've yet to cleco all this in spot. I'm yet to cleco this angle in spot yet. There's two pilot holes in that corner. to go in. I can probably put those in just to get it secure, and then rely on the floor underside sheet to give one final check to ensuring that all your fuselage is square and at right angles. I'm going to probably set up a laser level down here through the top of the turtle deck as well, and then I'll have a cross-reference line through this way as well, just to double check. I won't rely on the laser level perpendicular side of things as much as I will rely on the sheets. I think the sheets are a lot better way of ensuring that this whole fuselage is square, and that's roughly it. I will be ready to start to disassemble and deburr as best I can soon, bearing in mind that I leave the forward spar tunnel fixings off at the moment. There's a down this side, I think, whether I upsize these to coppers now. I wanted to get my head around how the rear fuselage, the rear part of the fixings of the wings attached to the fuselage as well. I want to get my head around all of that sort of stuff before I commit to a bunch of riveting. That said, I probably can do the bulk of this now, bearing in mind that I'll keep those little gussets not clear-coat at this stage. Remaining clear-coat at this stage, so only riveting from this down. So from this point here down, I'll be leaving all of that section unriveted right the way through, including these bolts just for the moment. I'll probably be leaving all of that section of firewall off at the moment, and just clear-coating all this bolts at the moment, and riveting probably the rest, depending on how I go with my floor sheet, because I'm a big fan of deburring and priming the mating surfaces as best I can. I don't really want to have any surfaces unprimed. I really want to ensure that I prime all of these mating surfaces. Am I making sense? Probably not. Anyway, I'm going to have one thing to talk about. I've got autopilot servos to go in, one for pitch control and one for roll. So that I have to find some spots for. They're probably around about sort of that big. I looked at another video online of someone installing them in an earlier Sonex, and that had the dual sticks. The earlier model had the dual control stick. This has just got one central one, so a little bit different. Anyway, I may even be able to put one of the servos for the pitch control back here somewhere. Who knows? This is the whole idea of me doing what I'm doing now, so I can get my head around it. Anyway, I'm just going to do a quick pan around. I've got a day off today. I'm going to sort of work on the yard today a little bit. I just wanted to quickly show you around the aeroplane, and we'll throw some music to it and talk with you all soon.